Joker,
Joker.
the Joaquin
Wait.
Phoenix version.
Oh no, I watched Suicide Squad.
Oh, at least you got the one with the Joker who can run properly.
I watched it because I'm damaged.
Look, if he didn't have the tattoo, how would you know?
How would
that
you
he
know,
was
man?
damaged?
And if he didn't have ha 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 tattooed on him,
because he's the Joker.
So, my notes, I was gonna start keeping track of his laugh attacks, and then I just stopped. I stopped at 5, but there's a point where I fell asleep, and I had to go back and look at it again. But I've seen the movie before. Anyway.
Yeah. So, Joker, the heartwarming tale, the slapstick comedy, the laugh out loud riot that is Joker.
Mental illness.
Mental illness. I actually do kind of think this is a slapstick comedy.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
So we start with the reason I picked this movie is because I think a lot of people are looking for it's so deep, and then a lot of people are like, but it's so dumb. And like there's a debate on whether or not it's even a good movie.
I'll say when I watched it, I was riveted, and the whole time I'm like, God, that was incredible. And then as I thought about it more, I was like, yeah, the guy from The Hangover did direct that.
Yeah. And he had some stuff to say on Twitter about it.
Oh, man.
Okay, so the movie...
He's his biggest fan. I don't know if you know that.
He is his biggest fan.
He is his biggest fan. Todd Phillips is Todd Phillips' biggest fan.
So, this movie is one of the movies where I have to say that, like, the biggest factor on whether or not you're going to like this movie is whether or not you believe that the main character is by default the good guy. If you do not feel that he's the good guy just because he's the main character, like, you can accept that Rick Sanchez is not the good guy in his own story. You can accept that, if you can accept that, this is a good movie. If you are assuming that just because he's the protagonist that we are supposed to be on his side, then you're going to be like, this movie's awful. I hate this guy.
And also, if you've never seen The King of Comedy or Taxi Driver.
Yeah. So let's talk about Robert De Niro movies.
Homage is one thing, but anyway.
Like,
I'm a Tarantino fan. I can't say that.
Do you ever feel like this movie was just made because the director was such a fan of Robert De Niro? He was like, I want to remake all the Robert De Niro movies with Robert De Niro.
I'm surprised he didn't call him Fokker at some point.
Oh, man. So let's start with Arthur, our main character, who is we'll call him mentally challenged. Autistic would be like, it's never mentioned that, but this guy is,
and he's emaciated too. He is unhealthy,
middle functioning kind of at best, very socially not adept.
Like maybe someone pushed his mom down the stairs.
That's the problem is, this guy, like, you're not like, oh, this guy's so unrealistic. You're like, God, it's that dude at the grocery store who stands too close when he talks to you and won't let you walk away when you're like, oh, that's nice, but I got to get going. And he keeps talking. That guy.
So like 75% of the people that shop at GameStop.
Right. It just, but so we're going to follow him as he clowns around. We start with him at a going out of business sale that has hired a clown to wave a sign at pedestrians.
When he's getting ready, and I didn't think anything of this when I first watched it, but it felt like someone getting ready for like a minstrel show because of like the grease paint and like the really big exaggerated lips. I mean, obviously that's standard for a clown. But even the music that's playing is very like vaudevillian.
So, yeah, I can kind of see that. I think he's more intimating the trappings of a clown.
Yeah.
And like if you filmed a slapstick comedy as a drama, I guess, this is what you would get. So like he dresses up as the clown, he's out there, he's waving the sign, and the kids kind of knock him over, and he goes running with his big shoes because he's so bad at running, he's so bad on his feet that he can barely like hobble along, and like then they just whack him in the face with his own sign. Like it all but has a whack sound effect.
Bam! It is
bam.
Batman, right?
Right. And he goes down, and they beat him up.
He reminds me of the clown from Billy Madison when he falls off of his stilts. That's a really, really intricate or random thing. Anyway.
So he gets in trouble because he didn't bring back the sign that was stolen as he got jumped. He winds up in the hospital. Just kind of a mess. We're supposed to feel real bad for this guy. And to make things worse, we'll go see his social worker where he talks about his medications and his journal. He wants to be an aspiring comedian. Like there is a lot set up in that scene, and it's all like so heavy-handed. And it's
like he takes all these different medications to keep him as normal as he is, and his boss or manager is Josh Pius, who is one of the Ninja Turtles from the first Ninja Turtles movie, which is fun fact.
Right? I didn't know that.
I think he was Raphael.
Wow.
But I love him and everything he does. He plays a prick really well. But
I guess so.
Yeah. When he takes the bus back and it like drops him off, I thought it was really funny that he takes this bus, and it's a really long bus ride, it seems. And then it drops him off at a bus stop, and then he walks a really long way to his apartment. I'm like, is there not a bus stop closer to your home? I just picked up on the stupidest shit in this movie.
Yeah. So on the bus, it is revealed that he has a condition where he laughs at very inappropriate things. He can't help it. He can't control it. And it looks like it hurts him.
Yeah.
In order to do so.
And Todd Phillips really went out of his way to make people towards Arthur, because like the kid the mom and the kid that he's sitting behind, kids turned around looking at him, and he's just kind of making funny faces. And out of nowhere, she's like, "Can you quit bothering my kid?" And he's like, "I'm not bothering him." And then that's when he starts to laugh because he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was like, "Lady, like, what?" Anyway.
But yeah, it's cartoonish how mean people are to him. Like the kids stealing a going out of business sign. Like that's not even a thing. Like even if you wanted to be mean to him, the sign would be work. Like the kids would like take it and then like throw it, because carrying it's just effort. Like why bother?
Because this is Gotham, Chad.
and we have to be absolutely mean to this guy.
Yeah,
Don't you know that we live in a society?
That's why there's trash everywhere, and it looks like Second Street in Times Square in the 1970s.
That's just the side effect of the society we live in.
And maybe the kids are so affected by the society that they're taking the sign solely to beat him up. That was their end game. Was to beat up a random clown because he stood too close to them in the grocery store.
So he lives with his mom. He works as a clown and takes care of his mother. And together they watch the show like Late Night with Murray or something like that. It's
The Tonight Show.
It's Johnny Carson played by Robert De Niro.
And I couldn't tell if he had like a bunch of makeup on or if they had actually put plastic on Robert De Niro's face, because oh my god. Or was it Clayface? Like, was it actually, and Murray's not actually dead, it's Clayface that was shot. I don't know.
I think Robert De Niro has a little bit of sensitivity about looking like an old Robert De Niro.
Oh, Robbie, come on. Or Bobby, excuse me. That's what his friends call him.
His friends call him Bobby? Then we will call him Robert De Niro.
Well, I'm friends with him.
Okay. Right, yeah. But like, so right away, Arthur has this like fantasy of like being called onto the show and like, oh, come on down. I've always wanted a son just like you. And like, right away, we're just like, okay, I think this is trying to be clever, but there's nothing here. So the next day, Arthur is starting to go back to being a clown, and one of his buddies is like, hey, next time some guys try to mess with you, use this, and he hands him a gun. Which, if there is one thing that a responsible gun owner does, it's make sure that you have armed anyone with mental illness as soon as possible.
I've already gone ahead and filed the serial number off for you.
These bullets are untraceable. Just like the epitome of irresponsibility. Cartoonish irresponsibility. Not even like, oh yeah, I know guys like that. I mean, do you know how much guns cost? Like, you don't just give a guy a gun.
And that was like a snub nose, like, it's like 38 special.
Yeah.
I don't know how much a 38 special is. I mean, I have a Glock 19 that was like $700.
Right.
I'm not giving that to somebody.
You're going to trade it for a gaming computer, right?
That'll do me more good.
Okay, so he takes the gun to the hospital where he is being a clown for little kids. It could not, like, it may as well have been a bus full of nuns. It's kids in a hospital, like
a cancer ward or something.
Cancer ward, yeah, like the cancer.
And
ward
how is
like,
he? Does he have it tucked in his cartoonishly large clown pants? Did he expect it to stay in the waistband?
I don't know. Does he have a bag? Does he, like? Why didn't he just keep it with his stuff?
Because he's doing his little dance and it tumbles out. I mean, I will give props to Arthur for thinking on his feet and being, oh, it was a prop. And they're like,
Yeah, but
I mean, you would expect him to just start laughing and be like, I don't know. And then, like, that's it. But no, it's a prop. It wasn't real.
Now, due to the hodgepodge nature of this narrative, we've skipped parts that I now looking
we can
back
go
on.
back.
Sure. Okay, so he's trying to be a comedian, and he's like in this stand-up club, and he's like laughing at all the wrong places of this guy's jokes. Like, he laughs at the setup, not the punchline. And then when the punchline happens, he's just like staring around like, why is that funny? Because he doesn't get it.
And it's Gary Goldman, actually. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
I've seen him live twice. He's
Oh.
really funny. I took the liberty of pausing so I could read what his notes are.
Oh.
Do you know what his notes say?
No.
Are you ready for this? Okay.
Hold on. It's something like sex jokes always funny or something like that. Isn't that right?
Sexy Joker always funny. And that's ALWAZE, always. So it's work the crowd, dress nice but casual, make observations, OBZE, yeah, about audience, slick hair, 3 question marks, eye contact, underlined, always make funny observations, the sexy Joker always funny, joke about having mental illness, people expect you to act as if you don't. Those are his notes.
Like, he has failed. Like, he's so focused on the details, he doesn't even think about like what actually to learn.
Yeah,
from a
always
comedian.
make funny observations. Okay,
That's
about.
literally the whole job. That's the title of the job description.
I'm just checking things off a list here.
But
there's also a William Street, and I was thinking Bill Finger. He was one of the creators of Batman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Anyway, like I said, I picked up the stupidest shit when I was watching this.
He's also shares an apartment building with Domino from Deadpool 2.
Yes, doing a very what was I going to say? Unheard of crossover from DC to Marvel.
That's right. But like, she doesn't really have a character. She just kind of like stands in the elevator, makes eye contact and a subtle joke with him.
She fails the Bechdel test, or this movie does.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Because even his mom only ever talks about Thomas Wayne.
Right. And only to him. Like, she only talks to him. She never talks to another woman.
Yeah. That's true.
But like, so he winds up following her from, like, as she takes her kid to school. Then he tries his hand at stand-up comedy. And it goes really poorly. He can't stop laughing well before he said any jokes. And his jokes aren't really funny. And no one laughs. And he gets really frustrated, but then he spends some time with Domino. All of this, maybe that's even later.
Yeah, I think his first go, he's starting to laugh, and the sound starts to kind of mute and bleed out, and you see people laughing, and you think that he's doing well, because I think you see Zazie Beetz there, Domino, and
right.
she's like laughing or whatever, and you're thinking, oh, good, like
he's doing well, and
he's doing well, because this is when his life is still
normal.
We're building up, because he eventually gets accosted on the subway.
He does some really bad dancing in his apartment first with the
gun. And Goodbye Horses should have been playing at one point. Yeah,
but he's really clumsy with his feet. Like, that's a constant struggle for him, is like the basics of not falling over
and dropping things
But yeah, so after the gun incident at the hospital, he gets fired, and then he's on the subway with these guys, one of whom is like prolific at having memorized Sondheim lyrics.
Yeah.
And you wonder if his friends are like going, dude, you know those lyrics just way too well. Like, most of us heard that song and was like, yeah, I remember the chorus, but you're like, no, man, I remember every line.
And I'll do Oklahoma for you. Just give me a second.
Yeah, so these guys are like irritating a woman in a tan coat. That's important later, I promise. And he starts laughing just uncontrollably because that's his thing. And these guys are like very anti-humor or something because they just start beating him up for no reason. Like you do, you're out with your buddies and you just see a guy and you're like, fuck that.
I mean, haven't you been on MARTA before?
Yeah. But
haven't we all murdered someone on? Oh, excuse me. I guess cat's out of the bag.
So while getting beat up, yeah, Arthur shoots them, dressed as a clown, and he shoots all three of them with his like 800 bullets.
Very reminiscent of Bernie Getz from New York in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's like where Death Wish and stuff kind of stemmed from. I don't know if Death Wish was in the 80s or it was in the 70s. But yeah, Bernie Getz was being accosted just like he was on the subway train, and so
yep. And
the reaction is very similar to Gotham. People calling him a hero.
So Arthur shoots these guys, and I'm not kidding about the bullets. He shoots at least 7 or 8 shots
in a
from
6-chamber, like 38 special.
Could not be more than 6 bullets in that gun. We'll go ahead and say that that's deliberate. Yeah, that's one continuity error, but you're on notice. So
that's the one.
That's the one you get.
The only one.
The freebie. So he goes into a bathroom and dances like he's never danced before.
And it's the grossest. Like, that's the dirtiest toilet in Scotland gross.
And he's like this amazing dancer in there, though. Like, just practically, Kevin Bacon in an abandoned warehouse dancing. So then he goes home and like everyone's like freaking out that 3 Wall Street bros were killed, and they're like, it's a big social movement. The underclass is taking it back. And his mom is obsessed with Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne is like the spokesman for the Wall Street bros. Who
he also hooks up with Domino when he goes back home.
He
goes right to her apartment, just knocks on the door, and just starts making out with her. And she's like, I'm okay with this.
She's like, this is a reasonable thing. I'm just an object in an action movie. Yeah. Kind of awkward that, but okay. We'll let it slide. He also something happens to his mom.
I just have that she's delusional because she is.
Yeah.
Because she believes that Thomas Wayne owes them money.
Or will take care of them for some reason.
Because she worked with him for so long, and Mr. Wayne is so nice, which is what we have been led to believe, mind you, as an audience,
right,
through years and years and years and years and years of Batman, is that Thomas Wayne was like a saint. Right. And he's not so much in this.
Right.
I mean, he's very much what you would expect a Gotham businessman to be like. I mean, he's...
Yeah. And he has this kind of anger against the rising protests of people who feel that the shooting of the three guys was a call to action. Man, this movie needs a narrative structure. So
it's vignettes. Look at it as a slapstick vignette piece.
So we go on this like world's longest diversion of like, if you cut it from the movie like does not change anything. Real quick, Murray has a viral video of the week on his talk show.
How? I found this on YouTube. On what? Right. Your kids will understand.
Check this Vine out.
Yeah, let's
back to TikTok of this new comedian.
Yeah.
And showing him fail, and they're laughing at his expense. But yeah, and there's some detectives who are trying to track down the guy who killed the three.
Yeah, Shea Wiggum and can't remember the other guy's name, but he was just in Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, I like.
Yeah, and he was in the Night of, I think is what it was called. With anyway, yeah, he's done some good stuff, but Shea Wiggum has been in a lot of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Arthur's mom is like, hey, the reason I think Thomas Wayne will take care of you is because he's really your dad. Surprise, surprise. And so he starts stalking Thomas Wayne and like has an encounter with Bruce, all of which
Alfred.
Adds fuck all to the movie.
Yeah, I think that was like, I really think that Todd Phillips wanted to make this movie, and somebody from DC was like, I could give you a bigger budget if
you can't. If it was Joker, yeah.
Yeah, and he said,
the Joker.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because like this, there is no reason for Bruce Wayne to be in this movie.
No, and what adds to this, I read a Cracked article about this. If this is supposed to be the Joker, then he is going to be a geriatric old fuck by the time Bruce is ready to take him on.
Yeah.
By the time the Waynes are murdered, and by the time Bruce is in his, let's say 20s, early 20s, and starts becoming
20s. That's 15 years from now,
Yeah, and Arthur is probably in his 40s at this point. So we're talking about a 55-year-old, maybe a 60-year-old supervillain in the making for 15 years. And we're supposed to believe that, one, a guy that has been incredibly ineffective at walking becomes a master tactician and a skilled I mean, I guess in 15 years you can, sure, but like that's one of the biggest things about Joker's character is that he's supposed to be able to go toe for toe with Batman. See, this has gotten so damn nerdy, and I knew it would, because I mean, I have Batman on my arm. Like, I haven't. So this, when this movie was coming out, I was excited.
Yeah.
But then, like, the pieces, I'm like, why is there an 8-year-old or whatever Bruce Wayne in this? And if this is supposed to be the Joker, then what? And see, then people say that it's like a proto-Joker, which then why does this even exist? How? Right. Anyway.
So, yeah, for some reason Bruce Wayne's in this, and he goes and stalks Thomas Wayne at like a movie theater, and he gets beat up in the bathroom. Like,
can't catch a break.
Like, why is this happening?
It's because someone put a kick me sign on his back.
I don't know. Like, just being around this dude's a Horcrux. Just being around him's infuriating. And like, so then he goes to like the mental hospital, Arkham Asylum, where he gets his mother's records, And it turns out that she's just freaking crazy. And the last half hour was as meaningless as we all knew it would be.
Yep. Because did she ever work for him or no? I can't remember.
It doesn't even matter. I don't think so.
I mean, no, it doesn't. You are correct. Oh, so wait, I think because he says something about her, and Thomas knew who she was, and he was like, thought that she was insane at that point too. Anyway, You're right, it doesn't matter. But
so Arthur's whole backstory is like kaput, and the part that made this a DC Comics movie at all is over, and we're back to Arthur dealing with being Arthur.
Hey, what a wonderful kind of day. You can learn to laugh and play.
Murray's TV show calls Arthur and is like, hey, you should come onto the show for no reason. We have celebrities on, and you should be on too.
So we can make fun of you.
Right.
Because he doesn't know that he's the one that killed the guys.
Right. No, this is about him being the star of a viral video. And he also kills his mother, but that's also not really important.
Lying bitch.
Yeah, so we're going to go through a bunch of things that happen in a very short time because I don't remember what order they happen in. He sleeps in a refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
He goes into Domino's apartment, and she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And she's like, you're the guy from down the hall. And the whole audience goes, oh, so she wasn't there during all those scenes earlier. And then the director's like, now that you know that, I'm going to re-show you all those scenes and now take her out of them. Yeah. And it's like, by the time the montage starts, everyone's like, yeah, we know you don't have to do this. We are with you.
Got it.
You know? I mean, it's like M. Night Shyamalan style twist. He like pops out of the corner. What a twist! Like, yeah, we got that it was a twist. We got that. You can stop now. So then, like, his friends come over, the two of the clowns that he worked with. One of the guys, the guy who gave him a gun, and another guy who was just really nice to him. So he kills the guy who gave him a gun. And probably the funniest scene in any clown movie ever.
Trying to open the door.
Trying to open the door. Like, this is hysterical. This is high comedy. And it's made all the funnier by the fact that Arthur just stabbed a guy. He's like, oh, man, you're fine. You can go. And he's like, I literally can't reach the door lock. Oh, sir, let me get that for you. He like rubs his head. As this guy's like, ah. And I think the only one who doesn't find the scene hilarious is the director. Because he didn't like frame it in this really hysterical juxtaposition. No, but we're laughing. So then, yeah, he colors his hair, he paints his face white, he puts on this suit. Yeah.
Why do you say it like it's a suit? Yeah, right? Is it not a suit?
It's like magenta with like,
I mean, it's not a
yellow
good suit, but it is a suit.
Okay. Yeah. And he goes out because he's got to make a TV appearance.
It's a suit that my Uncle Marty would wear.
He does a dance, I guess.
A much recreated dance.
Like
on the steps.
Yeah, just YouTube the Joker dance compilation. And everyone does
My
this dance.
favorite picture is where they've photoshopped it to look like he's a midget. That's my absolute favorite. Where he just looks like he's a little kid with a cigarette in his mouth dancing. And I think it's so funny.
So then we've got the detectives are chasing him, closing in on him to add tension. Have we been tense that he was going to get caught? Like, were we worried that like all the setup of the Murray show was now going to be like, oh no, what would have happened if he made it to the Murray show because they caught him? No one thinks he's going to get caught. But they have another subway scene where a bunch of people are going to the protests, and so he's
and everyone's wearing clown masks, but not
masks.
everybody's wearing loud magenta suits.
Right. But so the detectives are like unmasking people, like he could be any one of them. If only he were
He
wearing
did a quick
something.
change, I swear to God.
If only he were wearing something identifiable to identify him in the sea of clowns. But the cops just like randomly start opening fire on the guy. Like when they think they see him, and so like all the protesters just jump them, and the cops are like, why are you jumping at us? All we did was shoot blindly into a crowd.
God, that reminded me of, I think it was the Jack Ryan TV series where he's chasing the guy through a subway and just starts firing into the subway. I'm like, Jack, what are you doing? You know better than to do that.
That's not a thing. But so they are getting their asses kicked, and the Joker got away.
Clever.
And
the Batmobile lost its wheel.
So he gets to the Murray show, and he
it's so funny, just the like disdain, just like, do we have to, I mean,
we have to talk about this scene, like just
when you introduce me as the
Joker. No, asshole, your name's Arthur. Like, you don't get to epithet yourself
yet.
So he comes out and he does this like elaborate dance over to the couch. He sexually assaults an old lady. And then he sits down and they have this conversation, and he very clearly has nothing to say, but he's got this like eat shit grin and like personality, but has not thought in any way, shape, or form about what he was going to say. And like he gets so flustered so easily, and eventually he's like, oh wait, I was supposed to be trying to kill myself tonight, because oh yeah, that's a thing, he's gonna kill himself on the Murray show with a knock joke.
Because he's a clown. Yep, he's a comedian.
And that's going to be his message.
Because he was put on this earth to make people smile. That's what his delusional, crazy dead mother said.
Right. So he, it's not going well. He's getting asked the wrong questions. And as a result, he reveals that he's the one who killed the 3 guys on the subway. And no one likes him. No one's like real happy with him. And he gets mad at them. And as a result, he goes on this freaking rant about social issues that's not necessarily wrong, but none of it's like resonating at all.
Yeah, when you frame it as a murderous, unhinged clown as your poster child for social issues, you're gonna lose something in the message.
Yeah, and finally he's like, you know, you get what you deserve. And then he shoots Robert De Niro. Shooting Robert De Niro is big in Robert De Niro movies. So
I wish that it would have been like that scene from Scanners. You know the one. The head
where his head
explode.
blows. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it would have been like that. That would have been really cool.
It would have been entertaining, that's for sure. But so he tries to then monologue to the camera, but the camera immediately cuts him off. Like, fuck, you don't get to just say what you want to people.
Yeah.
The riots continue, and he's arrested. Oh, by the way, Thomas Wayne is shot with they drop the pearls. So check that off the Batman movie list.
Oh, right.
It's important, the pearls. You got to check that off the list. And the cop car taking Arthur away crashes. And he gets out, and he's like, "Oh, all these protesters are my people." And then he like wipes the blood all over his mouth, and he's like, "Now we can all smile and put on this fake thing as I lead these crazy people." And then we get to the controversial part.
Oh. Okay.
It pans back, and we have Arthur sitting in a hospital, smiling, talking to, I guess, a therapist, a mental health hospital. And he says he just thought of something funny. She's like, "What is it?" And he goes, "You wouldn't get it." And then we cut over to a hallway. He starts walking down the hallway, but like he's leaving bloody footprints. And then he does a literal Benny Hill running across the hallway bit, just to add that final bit of slapstick. So, as you can imagine, I think there was a lot of subtext to the movie. Some of it successful, and a lot of it not.
Okay.
But I want to hear your thoughts on the movie. I made you watch the movie, so.
Well, like I said, I mean, when I watched it the first time, I went to one of the. Excuse me.
Holy crap! You're being eaten by a cat.
I went to one of the big theaters over here, and it's like I saw Tenacious D at the same place.
Yeah.
And I was really into it, and I was like, this was great. And then, yeah, like I said, as I started thinking about it more, I was like, I don't know. I don't think Todd Phillips is a good filmmaker. I just don't. I enjoyed Old School. I enjoyed Starsky and Hutch for what they are. I mean, come on. I also, like Anchorman and Step Brothers, so whatever. I'm allowed to like movies where I can just watch them and laugh. And that's what he makes, though. He makes, bubblegum, just nothing. And he tried to take on a mythos that he had no hand in touching. And that might just be from a pissed off Batman fan. 2, he doesn't have the talent to have done like what Nolan did. So like the Joker is supposed to be an enigma, and that's what makes him who he is, or part of it at least. And if you give him a first and a last name and a concrete backstory, then he just becomes another guy, I guess. The only way I can think that he could ever redeem himself is he releases Joker 2, and it's Joaquin Phoenix again, and it's a completely different movie. And it's like, which one of these is the actual story? I mean, and that would obviously be awful, but it's like the whole part of Heath Ledger he gives his origin story twice, I think, in Dark Knight. And both of them are very believable. And then there's even a third origin story of him being a soldier, being with PTSD, that wasn't mentioned in the film, but it's heavily implied.
Yeah.
And all three of those are very, very believable. But even when we're explicitly told this is Arthur's background, it's not believable.
Yeah.
And I think you fail at making a film, whether it's a comic book movie or not, where none of it is believable. I mean, knowing that Arthur is socially inept, physically inept, emotionally inept, and is able to carry on a relationship with a single mother for any moment, I think that is, like, I felt stupid, like really stupid, when they showed that she was never there. I'm like, of course she wasn't. Why did I think that she was? Like, I felt angry at myself. And you don't want your audience to be angry with themselves. So what did I think? God, just thinking about it now just makes me angry. I think I said my piece. You know, I think that Todd Phillips tried to do something he had no sense in trying. And I don't know if we're just being overly harsh or if Hollywood just really likes to jerk themselves off, because, I mean, it got all the accolades. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar, which I'm not saying he shouldn't have, because what he was given, he did well with. I mean, he became that character. It wasn't a good character to have become, but he became the character. So, I mean, I still think Leo should have won, but whatever. You put a nomination for a Tarantino movie up there, and I'm gonna say that wins every time. That's my kryptonite, man. It's the only one that I haven't said that about is Hateful Eight. So, but yeah, that's me. What about the tan coat? Are you getting into that?
Yeah. Okay. So this movie, I'm going to throw this out there. Do you remember how a few weeks ago you made me watch Elephant?
This is Payback?
This is Elephant. It's the same movie.
Okay.
This is a
ham-fisted social commentary.
No, this is the breakdown of a school shooter, a Dylan Roof who's going to go on a rampage, a guy who's going to walk into the Aurora Theater in Colorado and shoot up, those guys. This is all those socially awkward, mentally challenged guys who treat the gun like the solution to their problems, think the world is against them, think that women have snubbed them or implied more of a relationship than is really there. This
Incel,
is those
the
guys.
movie.
Incel the movie, like just hardcore. The fact that we can see Arthur failing to walk. We see him failing to run and dancing poorly and dropping things. He's very clumsy. But he sees himself completely differently. After the shooting, he dances perfectly. Okay, so I heard the soundtrack to the movie before the movie came out. The score, I mean, not the soundtrack. A really consistent thing throughout the soundtrack is there are two melodies going on at the same time. It's almost like there are two songs. They don't complement each other at all. Like, the timing is straight up off. I think they are in different time signatures, even. Like, where you have a violin playing this one part over here, and then this rhythmic, bass and cello over here. And they're, ships in the night. They do not make the same noise. The first time that changes is in that dance scene where he's in the bathroom and the two melodies become one and they kind of sync up, as it's really the first time what we're seeing is one story, not the reality. The fact that he laughs at inappropriate times, I mean, could be viewed as him laughing at inappropriate humor, him laughing at the setup, not the punchline. Could be the guys who joke online about being Nazis, the guys who make gay jokes because they think they're edgy. The target audience of this movie.
Edgelords.
One of the things that really tipped me off towards this was there's a scene where the detectives are trying to talk to him outside a hospital, and he feels invisible. So he's walking up to these doors, and the door, it's an automatic door, and it doesn't open. They're like, dude, it's an exit. It's not sensing you because it's not looking your direction. And he kind of takes it as a personal slight to himself that the doors wouldn't open for him. Now, the things that are going on in his head, where he's constantly seeing things that aren't there, he is an unreliable narrator. I think that is established at the very first shot, where he's putting on makeup. He's putting on a disguise at the beginning of the movie. It's not like we see him in the character and then out of the character. We see him at the beginning already disguising his face, and then he paints his tongue, almost like you can't trust what he says because what he says is as disguised as the rest of them. That's how I interpret that anyway. The woman on the subway who gets away wearing the brown coat, later on in the movie, he sees some people on the street who are wearing clown masks, and one of them, it's really hard to tell, is the woman in the brown coat, where he doesn't necessarily see, like, it's probably not really her, but instead in his mind, he has created this revolution by saving people. He views himself as the child of Thomas Wayne. He views himself as Batman, the hero,
Right.
And he's not. He's the asshole. And all the slights against him are not really slights against him. They're kind of in his head. Thomas Wayne doesn't owe him anything. So the frustration he feels towards Thomas Wayne isn't really justified, because Thomas Wayne is just a guy who doesn't owe him anything. He doesn't know him. He's not responsible for him in any way. He's not his father. But we hate Thomas Wayne, and Arthur hates Thomas Wayne, because we see a slight that really isn't there when you think about it.
Yeah. And we even dislike his mother because she's so overbearing, and
right.
That's even filtered through him.
Yeah. We see him constantly trying to go upstairs. Every time we see him struggling to get upstairs, as kind of an indicator of wanting to do good, wanting to do better. But then, towards the end, when he's like, fuck it all, he's literally dancing downstairs. I'm not going to try to play their game when they're social, whatever it is. Instead, I'm going to self-destruct, which is the real beauty or heroic thing or whatever justification people have for shooting up churches and schools and stuff like that. When he thinks he's going to go commit suicide, he thinks he's going to do those things. It doesn't go according to his plan. He's not going to get the happiness or the sympathy that he wants. And when he realizes he's not going to get that sympathy, he takes it out violently on the people who are not sympathetic to a guy just trying to use suicide to gain sympathy. And that's why he shoots up Murray, is because he is just like, screw it. If my plan for suicide isn't going to work, then homicide will be what I do. And again, he thinks he's the hero in this. You know, he sees this whole audience of people dressed as clowns celebrating him who aren't there. This is not very realistic. He's not leading a social movement. And, you know, you have all these people trying to put social meaning behind his actions when he's really just mentally handicapped and has trouble with social interactions. He has trouble with girls. He has trouble making friends. And so all those, you know, oh, he did it for the revolution, or he did it for the liberals. He did it for the conservatives. He did it because he's racist. He did it because he's whatever. You know, none of those excuses that the media is going to put on his actions are real. He's just an asshole. He's just an asshole who was given a gun and shouldn't have had one. Like, we know that Arthur should not have had a gun. But, yeah. So then I
feel like if Arthur had walked into an Academy Sports in 2015, I think that the guy behind the counter probably would have walked him through.
Getting a gun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I live in Georgia. You pretty much have to be a different skin tone in order to not get a gun.
Oh man. Oh.
I mean,
and what sucks is this movie could have been, maybe it could have been something, like with everything going on right now, maybe could have been.
It's such a nihilistic movie. Like, rather than having some deep meaning, the deep meaning is trying to have a deep meaning will fail. And the worst part, the part that really pisses me off, is the whole ending where he's in the hospital and he's like, oh, it's just, I thought of a funny story. That whole movie we just saw, you know, none of it was real. And then he kills the therapist and like, ooh, let's get out of here. Does the Benny Hill.
Yeah, the end. Like, how does he end up in a hospital? Is this like years later or something?
No, the whole movie was in his imagination. That's how he saw it going. That's his perspective. So the whole movie was his perspective of a thing that wasn't really true. And that's why he thinks it's funny, but she wouldn't get it because that's not really the way it went.
But it did happen.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Okay. I guess I just assumed that eventually he got caught and put into an asylum.
You were thinking you're going to walk away from a Todd Phillips movie going, man, I'm glad I watched that. And that's not what's going to happen. You're going to be
unless it's old school.
And you're like the rest of us, where we're just like, man, why do they keep giving him budgets?
Yeah, I remember when The Hangover came out, and I was really sick at this point. I think I had just gotten out of the hospital, and I Love You Man and Hangover had come out around the same time. Right. And I either downloaded or bought I Love You Man, and I laughed my ass off. I was by myself, and I was rolling laughing. And I kept getting told The Hangover is better. The Hangover is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I watched The Hangover, and the whole time I was just like, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, it's a naked Asian guy. Okay. Like, I mean, I laughed at some of the stuff that Zach Galifianakis said, but other than that, I just didn't think it was that funny, and I definitely didn't think it was that good of a movie. And so I was like, I don't understand what people are talking about. Like, I Love You Man is way better. It's a better story. It's more believable. It's got better jokes, has better people in it.
Did you know that The Hangover is actually a remake?
No.
Yeah. It was a 90s movie, but it wasn't called The Hangover. It was called Dude, Where's My Car? It's the same movie.
And then...
it is the same movie.
And then, yeah, no, I mean, They didn't get tattoos on each other's backs, but yeah.
It is the we got drunk last night, stuff happened, and let's piece it together. Like
Nolan did it better when it was called Memento.
Yeah, like The Hangover isn't even like it's not even an original idea. Like it's got nothing going for it. Ken Jeong, that's what it's got going for it.
Yeah, and then I mean, I will say individually, I mean, I really like Ed Helms. I like Bradley Cooper.
I don't.
Yeah, but you are so fucking weird.
I'm very fickle.
How can you not? First of all, how can you not like Ed Helms? I don't understand that.
I watched The Daily Show, and he was one of the least interesting people on The Daily Show. And so since then, I've just been like, oh, it's Ed Helms.
And Bradley Cooper.
He's been okay sometimes.
Did you see A Star Is Born?
No, I didn't see this version.
Okay,
of it.
the newest one is what I meant.
I've seen 2 A Star Is Borns. I wasn't going to watch a third.
A Star Is Born. All right. So
Joker.
That was Joker.
Do you like Joker?
No.
Having watched it again, you don't like Joker?
I don't think I ever have to watch it again.
Good. I don't think I do either.
So as I said at the beginning, I think we're going to watch Mean Creek.
Okay.
Have you seen Mean Creek?
No.
Have you heard of Mean Creek?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I saw this movie in like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And I only watched it one time, but I remember liking it.
There's a lot of movies that we've watched where you're like, I watched it one time, I remember liking it, we're going to watch it again.
Nope. Only one, and it was Elephant. That's it. That's the only one. I knew Double Dragon was going to be Double Dragon.
Okay.
I had I didn't mince that at all. I said, this is going to be bad, but you're going to like it. You're going to have fun with it. And boy, was I right.
Yeah, it was fun.
Unless you've never seen the Mario Brothers movie, then we should watch that. But I'm thinking probably have.
I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
I've probably got that movie memorized.
Yeah, Mean Creek. So it has Josh. I can't remember if his last name is Bell or if that's Drake's last name. From Josh and Drake and Josh and Drake, the Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it, but
I mean, that's not for us. It wasn't our age. But this was when he was a big kid. He was a big boy in this one.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, Mean Creek. And you know what? If it's not a good movie, then at least you'll have fun shitting on it.
Yeah, Mean Creek.
Mean Creek. All right. Until next time.
All right.
McCavity.